do these things have in common? The end of Kevin Owens' one and only main event title reign.
Owens, former best friend, the bell is rung, the bell rung.
The creation of AEW, the rival wrestling promotion, the beginning of the end of Bray Wyatt's The Fiend character.
He will! Jackhammer!
And the sudden halt to Jey Uso, the guy that's the most popular guy in the crowd, according to Triple H. The sudden halt of Jey Uso's title reign.
Jey Uso's out. Jey Uso is out, I believe. He is out. Gunther!
The guy who won Royal Rumble to go to WrestleMania to win after a 14 to 15 year career as a tag team guy, basically, and his Cinderella story. He wins, and 51 days later, an abrupt halt, done, finito, even though he's technically in a feud with 4 people: Gunther, Logan Paul, John Cena, Seth Rollins, and his entire group. And yeah, just done. If you said the main eventer from 27 years ago, Bill Goldberg, then you are correct. Full disclosure, I'm not a Bill Goldberg fan. I hate Bill Goldberg. And I know hate is a strong word. I wish there was a stronger word I could use. Actually, loathe. How about that? Loathe seems to be a stronger word than hate. I loathe Bill Goldberg. And for the record also, a lot of things on the record right now. If you are a Bill Goldberg fan, you might want to just not watch this channel until after Saturday night's main event. So, like, you might want to just stop. I don't like the dude. I think he's bad for WWE. I think he's bad for wrestling. I didn't like him back in 97, 98, let alone right now. But at least you could argue that Bill Goldberg had his place back then. I understood why people liked him back then, even though I didn't at all, and I still thought he wasn't great for the business back then. I could at least understand the concept of him. Even in 2003, I understand why they brought him back, even though I did not want him back. But in 2017 to present day, I am just like, what? Like, everything he touches just turns to ash. He destroys pushes. He destroys title reigns. He destroys long-term booking, and I don't get it. I thought this was a Vince McMahon problem, bringing in Goldberg and putting the belt on him, but apparently it's it's ingrained in the system of WWE. Somehow, some way, that dude, Bill Goldberg, is like the man for like for WWE creative. Like when they're in a corner, Goldberg, let's get him in here. But Triple H, Jey Uso just got the title reign. Oh, he'll get it back eventually. Who cares? I care. And if you want to call me a mark, whenever Goldberg is present, and I'm talking about him, WrestleMark. Call me WrestleMark. I don't care. I really don't. I don't like this at all. And I will get to all the reasonings. You know how I said all those things have in common? I'll explain them so you can see that there's a connection in this path of destruction that Goldberg leaves behind him in the WWE universe. But it's like, I just want you to also know that it's not because he's 58 years old that I really care. Now, that does play a factor. It does play a factor because, you know, hey, we all age out. But it's wrestling, and you can kind of sort of cover some weaknesses with smoke and mirrors. I do understand that. And if you look at my past videos over the past month, I actually was very much a We Want Truth guy, and Truth is 54 years old. I even said put the title on Truth. So it's not that I'm like, oh, Goldberg, he's 58, he's so old. It's no. There's a difference. Our Truth for the last 17 years has been showing up to work, and Goldberg has not. Like, at all. And eventually I'll go into the whole history on why I don't like Bill Goldberg. I'm thinking 50,000 subscribers, but like, and I'll reveal it all. And for the record, also, I've never met the guy. He's never wronged me personally. I just want to throw that out there as well. He has only wronged me in my WWE viewership. And I'll be honest with you, I would rather the guy had punched me in the face in real life than ever see him on WWE TV again. I would so much rather that me and him had, like, there was some, like, personal beef than me having to watch him on WWE TV. WWE TV is way more important to me than, like, if I had loaned Goldberg $5,000 and he had just never paid me back, which none of that has happened. I just want to be clear. So, but that said, and I don't even have $5,000. That would probably totally break my bank account if I did. Definitely not rich. If I was rich, I'd quit my day job and produce wrestling content full time. Let's, you know what? That's a good segue right there. I'm trying to quit the day job and produce wrestling content full time. And to do so, I'm going to give away a belt. And all you got to do to win it is comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, ding, 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 notification. And if you could, thumbs up. Give a thumbs up. The thumb is still not talking because it will not talk during Bill Goldberg videos. You see that? Bill Goldberg had made the thumb stop talking. You can win this belt. This was a Bill Goldberg belt. He had the big gold belt. You want to win it? Win it so Goldberg can never see it again. Win it and burn it so Goldberg can never get it, because you never know. You never know. Goldberg, you could be at a bonfire just hanging out, and the Goldberg music's hit. He walks up to you and he says, "You're next. I want your title." All right, so let's, where was I? I'm probably a little all over the place. I thought I would be a little more professional today. If you look at my hot takes from yesterday, I was very much angry. And today, I'm very much angry. Whenever I talk about Goldberg, I'm very much angry, apparently. So let's start with Kevin Owens. Okay, so Bill Goldberg actually came back in 2016, had a squash match against Brock Lesnar, of all people.
Goldberg again with a spear!
So that happened, right? That's like in a whole separate little section of the WWE universe. And honestly, fine, whatever. It's not affecting overall storylines. Brock Lesnar had nothing to do anyways. And I was still upset with Brock anyways because he beat Undertaker, and that streak meant so much to me. But then we have Kevin Owens. He's continuing on. He is your Universal Championship, his first and only main event title run. And he has partnered up with Chris Jericho.
You're the GOAT! You're the donkey! Yeah, fine, I don't care! Canada!
You ever hear that? You just made the list! That was the era in which we had Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. They were doing phenomenal stuff together. And we're leading towards a breakup, though, between Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. We're definitely going towards a breakup. There's a festival of friendship, even, and it does really good numbers, I believe, in the ratings. And it was just a great overall segment.
It's perfect. A new list. How come my name's on this?
Oh my God!
In which Kevin Owens turns his back and totally obliterates Chris Jericho. And so now Royal Rumble is over, so that means we are on the road to WrestleMania, and that seems to be a no-brainer feud. These guys have been teaming up, I can't really remember, at least since SummerSlam. So it's almost a full year of storyline going on right here. Long-term storytelling of Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens holding the Universal title. Chris Jericho, a main event guy all the way back from the Attitude Era. It's a no-brainer. This could be your main event to WrestleMania. The friendship destroyed. Main event players. Long-term storytelling. Everything is there. And the fans were into it. And so it was perfectly laid out. The storytelling was awesome. And then out of nowhere, it's announced that Goldberg is going to face Kevin Owens for the title at the pay-per-view right before WrestleMania. And it's like, wait a second, what? Why? I mean, you can argue that he beat Brock Lesnar, so he deserved a title shot. At least there was a reason. You could legitimately argue why Goldberg deserved a title shot here. You can't do that in the present day. In the present day, Bill Goldberg hasn't had a match in, like, forever. Therefore, he has no reason to be in a title match against Gunther, but back then, you could at least argue it. But that said, it still shouldn't have happened, because we already have our matchup, our feud, our main event going into WrestleMania, and it's Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho. But no, they decide to do this, because Vince McMahon thinks that this program with Brock and Goldberg needs the title. Why does it need the title? It didn't need the title at Survivor Series, and yet it needs the title right here for WrestleMania. It made no sense, really. And but yeah, so at the pay-per-view, Kevin Owens, he's stalling outside, and then he gets in the ring. Chris Jericho's music hits, it distracts him.
Jericho's here. Owens, former best friend.
22 seconds later, Kevin Owens' title reign is over. It's done. It's finito. The guy doesn't get a rematch ever. He doesn't ever sniff the title again. Well, I mean, he gets in main events, but he never holds it again. And then, to add insult to injury, we do have their match, that match that was going to be like the main event of WrestleMania, or at least it could have been the main event of WrestleMania, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho. Well, it then went on to be the second match on the WrestleMania card. And that actually right there will lead to AEW. There's a saying that if you're not last on the card, you want to be first. You never want to be second, though. And that's where Jericho and Kevin Owens went. They went from probably main eventing WrestleMania to arguably the worst spot on the card. And yeah, it was for the U.S. title, and yeah, it still paid off their entire feud, but it did not sit right with Jericho.
When I had the best angle in 2016, and we ended up second on WrestleMania, that's when I knew it's like, I got to get out of here.
When Kevin Owens lost the title, they lost the ability to be in that main event. So what happened was, when Chris Jericho was up for renewal, he decided it was time to leave. He actually went to the land of the rising sun, Japan. And in Japan, he fought Kenny Omega.
Hold it out of him.
And there was somebody who watched that match, and that somebody was Tony Khan. Tony Khan saw the numbers and the money that Jericho and Omega drew, and he said to himself, he thought to himself that there was opportunity here, and the idea starts to get going in his head. Now there's more in play to AEW. There was like the first, Cody Rhodes, he makes a bet with Dave Meltzer. There's a lot of things that happen, and don't worry, I'm not going to get all into it. I don't want this to become just an origin story of AEW, but it does say something here in that if Goldberg hadn't taken the belt off of Kevin Owens and Jericho would have been placed second on the WrestleMania card. They would have been in the main event. Chris Jericho would not have been mad and upset and felt slighted that he wouldn't have not re-signed, and that he wouldn't have gone to Japan, had the match with Kenny Omega, and then Tony Khan wouldn't have saw that match and said, wait a second, maybe there can be room for two wrestling companies. And so there's a huge domino effect here that led to the creation of AEW. That stupid decision of giving Bill Goldberg the belt, it has cost WWE way more money than they ever made by having Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar on that WrestleMania for the title. And you're like, wait, what do you mean? Because when AEW was formed, every wrestler got a raise. All right, so now we go to the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Whether you like Bray Wyatt or not, the Fiend character, doesn't matter, okay? I'm just saying that here was a character that was presented as like a movie monster, and he was untouchable. With the aside from the Hell in a Cell with Seth Rollins, he was pretty much like, he was very unique, and people seem to love Bray Wyatt the Fiend. And he wins the title, he's unstoppable, and we're on the way to WrestleMania. This was in 2020, so this is the the pandemic era, but he's on his way to WrestleMania. He has the title, right? It's going to be the big dog Roman Reigns versus the Fiend. We can all see it coming, because the Fiend, like I said, unstoppable, and it's Roman Reigns. He's our only hope. And somewhere in between that, they decide to give Goldberg a match. Like, there was no connection between Fiend and Goldberg. If you think that Goldberg just appeared out of nowhere for Gunther, at least Gunther insulted his family last year. right here, The Fiend and Goldberg, they had nothing. Nothing. Their characters were polar opposites. Fiend never said one thing about Goldberg. Goldberg hadn't even been around. Just no plane of existence where Fiend and Goldberg should have a beef with one another. And maybe it's to give the Fiend more, like, credibility going in against Roman Reigns. So that's what I'm hoping and I'm praying for, is to give the Fiend more credibility and just to show that he is actually unstoppable because, hey, Goldberg had the streak, right? He's been living off that streak since 97, 98. He had the streak. Fiend beats Goldberg, and now that match with Roman is going to be that much greater. And no. The unstoppable Fiend, who everybody seemed to really enjoy. Not everybody liked the horror show presentation, but like for the most part, again, very unique in a time that was very bland. And Fiend, he just gets defeated clean. I forget how long it was. It was like, what? It was under 6 minutes. I know that. And it just, like, I was like, wait, what? What? Why would they do that? Like, out of nowhere, Goldberg appeared. We had months of storyline leading into WrestleMania. And Goldberg was a part of none of that. Goldberg's last match was actually SummerSlam. He fought Dolph Ziggler, and that was to regain credibility from his previous match where he totally botched a main event in Saudi Arabia with Undertaker, actually. And I'm not going to get into that. I'm not even going to get into the botches of Bill Goldberg. That's a whole separate video. In fact, I could probably make a whole series on the botches of Bill Goldberg. But, like, why would they just instantly put Goldberg as your champion? He had nothing. There was nothing. That's why. That's what gets me. That's what gets me. That's why I don't care that R-Truth is 54, but I care that Bill Goldberg is 58. It's that he's not there. He's not present. He doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve anything, any of these. Like, you want to give him a retirement match, fine. Do it against Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker and him have a built-in storyline. Braun Breaker has the greatest spear in wrestling right now, and everybody else has always thought that Goldberg had the greatest spear. The feud can literally revolve around a spear. You say Jey Uso knows 3 moves, well, I would argue that Goldberg knows 2, and spear is one of them. And so it's like, just let Goldberg spear everybody. They can literally have spearing contests. You wanna give Carlito a send-off, have them both just spear Carlito till he says, I quit WWE. Plus, Braun Breaker, his dad, had a beef with Goldberg in the WCW days, so like you could show all these old footage of them beating up on Goldberg. Like, there's so much story here. Braun Breaker, he's in a faction where he's trying to show that he's the next guy, right? He's trying to move up to the main event, just like when Randy Orton was the legend killer. Braun Breaker could, like, try to kill the legend of Goldberg. Plus, Goldberg and Braun, they've known each other literally since Braun was a baby. The Steiners and Goldberg, they're family friends. There's so much story there. And yet we're just inserting him, just like we inserted him with The Fiend. For no reason whatsoever. Goldberg hasn't been present, and he just shows up and says, you're next. Like, he wasn't present at all when The Fiend was rising to the top. It should have been The Fiend and Roman Reigns. But no, they give the belt to Goldberg. And that, on top of the bad Hell in the Cell with Seth Rollins, but like that right there, when he was fully beat, 1, 2, 3, fair and square in the ring, the beginning of the end of The Fiend happened. Now, The Fiend would go on and have a Firefly Funhouse match with John Cena, but if it hadn't happened, right, if The Fiend hadn't lost, he would have gone to fight Roman. Now, the pandemic did happen, so Roman then decides his immune system, because he's fighting leukemia and everything, he says, I have to bow out. So Roman leaves. Now, no one could have saw that happen, but if we had just stuck the course to logic storytelling, The Fiend would have walked into WrestleMania with the champion. And who did replace Roman Reigns? It was Braun Strowman. Braun and The Fiend had a built-in storyline, so much so that they did that storyline later in the year, regardless. But they could have just sped up that storyline and had it at WrestleMania. And Goldberg then could have done something else. But no, they had to put Goldberg in. They had to give it to Goldberg. And so now Goldberg has to fight Braun Strowman. And Braun wins. So that just shows me that they had no long-term plans for Bill Goldberg, and yet they give him the title? Why wouldn't they keep the belt on someone they had long-term plans for, Bray Wyatt, some guy who was going to stay around? And as fate would have it, if they had kept it on Bray Wyatt, all the stories would have still made sense. That's what happens. You got to always expect the unexpected, even a completely global shutdown. But if they had just kept their course, either way, it would have worked way better if Bray Wyatt had the title, if The Fiend had kept the title. And it was the beginning of the end, because when we saw that The Fiend was just a mortal who could be defeated by just, a spear and a jackhammer, well, then, okay, whatever. And within 2 years, I think, The Fiend was done. He goes on to have a feud with John Cena for one match, then Braun Strowman, and then when Roman appears, he does lose the belt to Roman again, Randy Orton, and then pretty much he was let go. He does come back, but that's a whole other story. So there you go. The Fiend, completely just the fact that he was defeated by a mere mortal killed the aura that was Bray Wyatt's Fiend. And so now we come to Jey Uso. And you might be like, I don't really like the yeets. I don't like 10 minutes of yeeting. He doesn't even do 10 minutes of yeeting anymore. I do the math every Monday Night Raw. He gets 5 minutes of yeeting on TV if we're lucky at this point, or maybe not lucky, because last week he only had 2 minutes. The week before, I think it was 4 minutes of actual airtime yeeting. So quit remembering what we were getting before WrestleMania. But that said, even if you don't like Jey Uso and you're like, I'm glad the title's off him. Okay, well, all that's going to happen is Goldberg's going to beat Gunther and ruin his aura. Okay, so maybe you're like, oh, I don't like Gunther either. He's kind of boring and lame and just one-dimensional. I don't agree with that. And I actually like Jey Uso as well. But that said, okay, fine. Wait until it's your favorite character's turn. Wait until it's Karrion Kross with the belt and Goldberg appears to take it. Wait until it's Seth Rollins or Braun Breaker and Goldberg appears to take it. Just because you don't like the character that Goldberg has come to destroy their storyline doesn't mean you should applaud it. Because Goldberg could do it to anybody. He's done it to Kevin Owens. He's done it to The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. And now he's doing it to Jey Uso and I would argue Gunther as well, because if Gunther loses, it makes him look like a chump. And Jey Uso, why? You know what? I'm gonna agree with his dad Rikishi on this. This is kind of a deep cut, so if you don't understand what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. But Rikishi, his dad, is like, fire everybody that stopped this. Jey Uso makes so much money for everybody, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe someone should be fired. Goldberg didn't need a title in his retirement match. I've already explained that Braun Breaker was there for the taking. Or fine. Let Gunther be the guy that retires him. Maybe you're thinking Gunther can get a good match out of him because Gunther wrestled Pat McAfee. He can get a good match out of anybody. Although to be fair, Pat McAfee is actually better than people give him credit for. But man, didn't need to happen. It did not need the title. Period. Since when does retirement matches just necessarily need a title? The John Cena thing aside, that's in its own separate little universe. It's part of the storyline. Like the storyline or not, at least it's part of the storyline. We didn't need this. We did not need this. It's just lame. It ruins so much. Jey Uso, 51 days, yeah, he can get the title back, but it just didn't need to happen. There was no need for this. Triple H says that the internet's not real, we don't exist, and, we're just a bunch of marks and nerds living in basements, and I'm not in a basement, by the way. I own my own house. I wish it had a basement. I would be in a basement, but my house doesn't have a basement. I live in Texas, and it floods a lot, so there's no basements. That aside, so if Triple H is going to say we don't exist, and it's all about the butts in the seats, why does Goldberg get a match If it's all about the butts in the seats and that's the justification of letting Jey Uso have the title, then why are we taking the title off him for Goldberg? Goldberg's not really putting butts in the seats. If anyone, he's bringing the marks back from the 90s. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't see it. If you liked Bill Goldberg, that's your bad decision, but that's okay. That's okay. It's bad enough that Goldberg is back on TV, but fine, he's a legend, blah, blah, blah. He's a legend, and he deserves a retirement match. So if you want to take that angle, that's fine, but he does not deserve a title match in his retirement match. He does not deserve to come in and disrupt Jey Uso's title reign. He does not deserve to come in and just destroy the aura of Gunther. He should do what veterans do on their way out. You put over talent. You don't bury talent. All right? You could say, oh, well, John Cena's doing that. No, John Cena's not. He's having storylines with people. He's making people look good. And aside from that debacle of WrestleMania 41 main event, that story's for you. He's making people look good. But Bill Goldberg, no, he's making himself look good. That's all he cares about. And, oh, well, WWE Creative is writing that for him. Give me a break. When they told Edge he was going to defeat Undertaker's streak, Edge was like, no, I don't wanna. I don't wanna. If Bill Goldberg really didn't wanna, and his ego wasn't the issue here, then he wouldn't. He just wouldn't. I'm done. I hate Goldberg. I loathe Goldberg. And I apologize if you are a genuine wrestling fan and you are just like, you Goldberg is your hero. Like Big E, if you're watching this, I apologize for just having a video dismantling your hero, but he sucks. He's horrible. He's bad for wrestling in WWE circa 2025. I'm not sorry, by the way. I'm really not. I'll do more of these videos. I loathe you, Goldberg. If you are a Goldberg fan, I hope you have not watched to the end. I hope you took my warning seriously and you said, I'll just be back to Chop July 14th. I don't think I'll have any more rants for a while on Bill Goldberg until next Monday Night Raw. So we'll have some other content on this channel. Boys, girls, have yourselves a good day, and I will see you later.